Hey, I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video about the buyer's exclusive agency contract. Today we're going to talk about the changes to the purchase agreement. There is not a whole lot of change to the purchase agreement itself. It's mostly in the addendum that we're going to talk about. But there are two changes here and here, both on the second page. The first change is just a replacement where we used to have the two blank lines where we could ask for the seller to pay some of buyer's closing costs and prepaids. That's being replaced with the seller's concessions line, which just states that the seller shall provide an allowance up to blank US dollars to be used by the buyer towards any lender allowed closing costs. So that's just replacement, has nothing to do with the change in the law from yesterday. The second one is just, if you check that box, then it's going to refer them to the addendum that I'm going to talk about now, where you and your buyer are going to negotiate directly with the seller to pay some of the buyer's agent's commission. That form is very simple. You can see it right here. I've broken it down into three highlighted sections, which I'll talk about in a little bit of detail. The first section there is, if you fill that section out, it's where you and your buyer share the commission agreement that you have with the seller. So if you've negotiated 3% on the buyer's exclusive agency contract, you would put that information on that top section. The second section is where you and your buyer are actually negotiating directly with the seller to pay some of the buyer's agent's closing costs. The third section just states that if the seller does agree to pay some of the buyer's agent's commission, that there is no representative relationship between the two. Now I'm going to go back up to the top one. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to fill out that form, but before I do that, I'm going to tell you why I'm going to choose to fill it out this way. I also want to let you guys know that I really want you to keep this video private. I don't really want you sharing this with other agents outside of United. So I really like the changes that IAR makes to our forms every year. This is the first time in many years that or maybe ever, that I can't really get behind that first section where it is asking us as a buyer's agent and a buyer to share the vital part of our agreement, which is confidential, and it's just between the buyer and the seller. To me, that would be like previous to this. So, where we would write a purchase agreement as a buyer and a buyer's agent, we submit it, and then further conditions, the buyer's agent or the buyer would say, hey, I would like to see the listing contract. I would like to see I would like to know what the full commission is, and I'd like to know, I know what the split is because that was on the BAC at the time, but I'd like to know what the full commission is. That's confidential between the listing agent and the seller. Just like I think the vital parts of the buyer's exclusive agency contract are between the buyer and the seller. So I don't know how this is going to be time tested, but the way I'm going to approach it when I write my first purchase agreement is I'm either going to strike it out using zip forms. I'm just going to strike it out, or I think I'm going to let them know that that's confidential information, and my buyer has instructed me not to share it, and so I'm just going to use the abbreviation CONFD period in both of those lines to let them know that that's confidential. And then we're just going to focus on that second section where the buyer is negotiating the buyer's agent's commission. That's how I'm going to approach it. Again, we'll see how it's time tested. I'd like you to just keep that to yourself. Of course, it's fine with me if you do share that information, but I'm going to approach it a little bit differently. If you guys see it differently or would like to give me your perspective if it's a little bit different than mine, I'm completely open to that. Just either give me a call or share that opinion in the comments section. So that's it for now. Tomorrow we're going to take a deeper dive into the listing agreement, and there are some significant changes there that you should be aware of. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.